So I'm going to start my Devar Torah, my remarks this evening, by telling you what this sermon will not be and what this Devar Torah will not be. Tonight, I am not giving a sermon about the anti-Semitic vandalism that occurred on Shalom Park earlier this week. The coward who crept onto this campus under the cover of darkness to hang a few flimsy flyers riddled with spelling errors is not worthy of our attention, our outrage, or our energy. That said, let me be clear. What happened was disturbing. It was frightening. And it is completely understandable to be shaken by it. If you need to talk, please know that your Temple Bethel clergy is here to listen. But tonight, from this bima, I have no interest in using our pulpit to give this hateful act any more oxygen. Because the purpose of something like that is not persuasion, it's not conversation, it's intimidation. It is meant to shrink us, to steal our sense of safety, to snuff out our joy. And that is something that I refuse to allow. So tonight, we respond the way Jews always have. Not by hiding, not by retreating, and not by letting hatred set the agenda, but by embracing our tradition and our values even more tightly and even more proudly. Tonight, we are going to study Torah. We're going to examine a verse from this week's Parsha, be in conversation with Jewish thinkers who wrote about this verse throughout the generations, hundreds of years ago, and we're going to consider what wisdom this ancient text could possibly impart to us today about how to live healthy, grounded, and proud Jewish lives. Because Torah is not an escape from the world as it is. It is how we root ourselves firmly within it. So now for something totally different. Let's start by talking about McDonald's. There are a few things more synonymous with America than fast food. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Popeyes, the list goes on. Fast food reflects a cultural assumption that we do not have time to slow down, to cook, to sit, and to eat together. Instead, we pull up to a drive-thru, never even leaving the car, and by the time we reach the next window, our meal is handed to us, ready to be consumed. But fast food is also not just about how quickly it's prepared, it's also about how quickly it's eaten. I don't know about you, but I find myself eating fast food most often while I'm on a road trip, which means that I am trying to operate a motor vehicle while trying to eat a Big Mac at the same time, and lettuce is falling everywhere, and it's awkward and uncomfortable, and I end up just shoving in my mouth so it doesn't end up all over the car. It still does anyway. It's not really about eating or sustaining ourselves as much as just fueling. Fast food is designed to be scarfed down. And the truth is, many of us eat far too many of our meals this way. Admittedly, I wrote this Devar Torah earlier today between bites of lunch, trying to get some food in while finishing Shabbat preparations. The irony was not lost on me. But how often do we eat over our desks like that? How often do we call a few bites of leftover chicken nuggets dinner before moving on to the next task? If any of this sounds like I'm describing your eating habits at times, it might surprise you to learn this is exactly how our ancestors were commanded to eat the Passover sacrifice on the night of the final plague. This is how you shall eat it, the Torah tells us in Parashat Bo. Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is a Passover offering to the eternal. To gird your loins, we know, means to be ready, but it literally means to tie up the loose fabric of a robe so you can move freely, so you can run and move forward. So picture it. Your sandals are on, your robe is bunched up, you've got your staff in your hand, and families are everywhere consuming an entire roasted lamb as quickly as possible. It was not elegant. It was not leisurely. It was not beautiful. Rabbi Hanina teaches that a meal is supposed to begin when a person removes their shoes and loosens their belt. A true meal is meant to be eaten in comfort and calm. The Pesach offering is the exact opposite of that. Despite being a sacred act, it is not a relaxed or joyful feast. The commentator Abarbanel explains that the sacrifice was eaten not for pleasure, but for the sake of fulfilling the commandment. And Chizkuni goes even further, suggesting it was eaten almost scornfully, unlike other sacred offerings. This meal was not about enjoyment. It was about readiness for what was to come next. God knew that the window for escape for the Israelites to escape slavery and enter freedom was impossibly narrow. Redemption was imminent, but it required movement. Eating in haste was preparation. It was God signaling, this is the moment. Be ready. But I think it was also something else. It was a test of partnership. It was just last week in Parashat Bo that the Israelites were so crushed by their labor that they could not even hear Moses' promise of redemption. And now God is asking them to gather their families and be ready to leave their entire lives behind in an instant. This hurried meal was a way of demonstrating that they were ready to act, ready to move, ready to participate in their own redemption. The title of this Parashat Bo literally means go! Exclamation point. God was making sure that they were in fact ready to go, not just physically, but psychologically. Now, all of this stands in stark contrast to how we observe Passover today and how we consume the Passover sacrifice, if you will. At our seder tables, we're actually commanded to lean and recline. We linger, we eat slowly, talk endlessly, stretch the meal over hours. Seders are known for being long, right? That's kind of the whole thing. And we lean because we are free. We no longer eat in fear or in urgency. We eat for pleasure, not just obligation. And yet, too often, we still eat as though Pharaoh might change his mind at any moment. We rush through our days with anxiety and urgency, afraid we will fall behind, miss something, fail to keep up with the pace of life. Even in freedom, we live as though we are still in Mitzrayim, that we are still in the narrow place. And for some, Mitzrayim is painfully real and literal. I don't want to minimize that. But for many of us, it is also a state of mind, that constant sense of pressure, that feeling that the walls are closing in as we race from one thing to the next, rarely stopping long enough to notice the blessings in our lives or the beauty around us, nonetheless sitting down and enjoying a delicious meal with loved ones. And of course, Jewish tradition offers an antidote to this in many ways, offering us regular interruptions to that pace. Shabbat and seders and simchas, moments of gathering, sacred moments that demand we slow down, sit, and be present. But sometimes, those interruptions come uninvited, come outside of our abilities. This weekend's impending storm feels like one of those moments. The preparation has certainly felt like eating the Passover sacrificed in haste. adjusting schedules and picking up supplies, making sure we are ready. And yet, I have heard multiple people say that they're quietly looking forward to it, to this forced pause, time at home, fewer places to be, fewer expectations to meet. Sometimes we need something external to give us permission to stop, to rest without feeling guilty, to be with people we love, to let go of the errands we didn't complete, the emails left unanswered, the productivity we abandoned, and to simply be. And perhaps that too is a taste of redemption. May this Shabbat offer us what the Israelites could not yet have on that first night of Passover, the ability to slow down without fear. May we learn when to move quickly toward what matters and when to linger long enough to feel joy. May we recognize the narrow places in our own lives and trust that freedom is not only found in escape, but in rest, presence, and gratitude. And may we carry the wisdom of both mindsets forward, knowing when it is time to rise and go, and when it is time to lean back, breathe deeply, and give thanks for the blessings of being free. Shabbat Shalom.